Gospel for Transfiguration Sunday is according to Matthew in the 17th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up to a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. And suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And then Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. And while he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, This is my Son, the beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Get up, do not be afraid. And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus alone. And as they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus ordered them, Tell no one about this vision until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Where to start on Transfiguration Sunday? Well, here we go. I'm going to take the side door rather than going in the front door this morning. When Leslie and I first got married in our first house, we had a thermostat to control the heat. And I think many houses of that era were the same. It was round. Remember the round thermostats? And you would dial the heat, and there was a point here called the comfort zone. Remember the comfort zone? It was between 72 and 74 degrees. Well, it wasn't long, about 3 years later, when all of a sudden there was a shortage of fuel, gasoline, and we heated with oil. And President Nixon got on, and he was wearing a sweater. And he said, let's all dial the heat down to 68 degrees. Now, that sounds simple enough until you're used to living in the comfort zone, and suddenly you have to live at 68 degrees. It didn't really feel that you remember, don't you, Ed? So somebody said, well, it's better if the air is humidified, so we bought a humidifier to make it more comfortable. It proceeded to blow cold air at you. It didn't seem to make all that much difference, quite frankly, and so we kind of shivered through all of that. And you recall that the highway speed was reduced to 55, and it drove people crazy. They thought they were going 25. That was called living outside the comfort zone. Now let's put that aside just for a minute and get into what we're doing here in the Gospel this morning. When we look at Matthew, we always understand that he is the writer who understands the continuity between the Old and the New Testament. Look at the examples that he writes. For example, in Exodus, we know about Moses. And Moses is put into a basket into the Nile. For what reason? Because the Pharaoh had decreed that because of the population growth among the children of Israel, he needed to reduce that population and decided he was going to slay all the male children. Notice that parallel in Matthew also? Remember how Herod the Great, hearing from the 3 kings, decided, aha, there's a king arising, so he orders children, male children under the year 2 and younger to be slain. Parallel. Notice the parallel of Moses going up on Mount Sinai. Notice where the Beatitudes are given, on a mountain. Moses is raised, Jesus is raised. All through his gospel, he pulls in all of these Old Testament figures. Elijah, the great prophet, who is taken on a fiery chariot up away from the son Elijah. And all of a sudden, in this whole text of Transfiguration, everything seems to come together. Moses, who brings the law. Jesus, who says, I have not come to destroy the law, I have come to fulfill the law. Continuity is moving along. The prophets are fulfilled. What Elijah had hoped for the children of Israel is now claimed by this Jesus of Nazareth. And so all of a sudden we have this wonderful transfiguration. Moses, Elijah, Jesus saying, this is all of us together, and we're coming to bring hope to not just the children of Israel, but for all of the world, at least as St. Paul interpreted it. So there you have it. Brilliance. Moses comes down, his face shining, surrounded by white light. Jesus surrounded by white light. Everything is a continuity of the Old Testament. So far, so good. Back to the comfort zone. Here you have three disciples, Peter, James, and John. And they are witnesses to all of this, and they see it. And Peter is kind of overcome by this, and it seems so good and so really good that he kind of murmurs out, let us build three dwellings for you, Jesus. One for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. Because he had discovered a comfort zone in his own life that was so incredibly good that he wanted to stay there. This is where I belong. When you build a dwelling, that is where you live. And that is where he wanted Jesus and Moses and Elijah to live as long as they possibly could. And in the midst of all of this, of course, comes this voice from heaven. This is my beloved Son. I'm well pleased. Listen to him. And that is, of course, the critical dimension of what it means for us to live today as baptized Christians. Because at any given point, we like the comfort zone, don't we? Why not? It's that point in life where everything is going well. And Jesus isn't allowing this because he says after that, tell no one about this vision until after the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. Because he didn't come to live in a comfort zone. And that's the critical issue that we all have to face when we try to decipher who and what Jesus is in our own time. And to be sure, at any given time, we like that comfort zone. And at any given time, we're called to go outside that 72, 74 degree area that gives us the most warmth and say, how did I ever get here? I want to go back to the comfort zone. But that's a difficult thing to say when you're walking into the season of Lent, isn't it? Because Lent is the constant, unending journey of Jesus getting closer and closer to Jerusalem where the enemies are. And that comfort zone is melting away. It's not there anymore. So in the season of Lent, all kinds of things are recommended, right? Get out of your comfort zone for at least this moment in time so that the comfort zone of what you celebrate at Easter becomes magnificent. It becomes whole, and it becomes beautiful, it becomes part of your life. But to walk with Jesus during Lent is what was always known the way of the cross. And that way of the cross calls us to take stock of ourselves in our own lives and say, what am I really looking for in the person of Jesus? To feel good all the time? That simply isn't the way of the cross. And Martin Luther always preached against that. He said, take life as it really is because it isn't always comfortable. But even in that discomfort, he said, take solace, take comfort in the fact that this Jesus, who personifies God in flesh, knows what it is to live outside that comfort zone. That you're not really alone at any given time. That calling upon that Jesus who said, where two or more are gathered in my name, I'll be there. I'll be there for you. Now, if that is true, then what we have in the lineage of all Christianity, it doesn't matter what denomination, is the fact that we exist here this morning in this church because of a whole history of people who went outside the comfort zone. Certainly Paul did. He brought the gospel outside of the children of Israel, right out into pagan society. Now, I would imagine, as I think I mentioned before, I didn't see a raising of hands about a year ago when I said, how many of you people were originally Jewish? No hands? So you must be of the lineage of the pagans, right? Come on, yeah. Are you German? Okay, yeah. There was a time when your ancestors worshipped trees. Yeah, I'm French. I don't want to know what they worship. It's frightening to me to even think. I don't want to go back there. But when you see Paul, who gives his life, and Peter, who is crucified upside down, that's no comfort zone. And so all time, the people that we call saints rise up. And they don't look for that comfort zone. They simply say, who am I and what am I called into? Because I have claimed this person as my Messiah, as my Redeemer. And when that happens, sometimes you've got to get out of your comfort zone and simply say, I've got to do something else other than what I would really love to do at this moment. And you look out through history and all of these people arise. The Catholic Church has announced them to be saints. In front of our worship book, you'll find all of these commemorations of people who went beyond where they were comfortable because they understood who they were in terms of how God looked at them through the eyes of Jesus. All of those people who were forgiven, all of those people who were cured, all of a sudden were brought into a new relationship with God. So it's Lent time now, okay? And so oftentimes people say, well, I might give something up that I really like. That's going outside your comfort zone. Or on Wednesday nights, I will come and I'll do something, well, extra. Instead of staying home Wednesday night, I'll come and I'll worship, and maybe I'll discover something new that brings me into a new understanding of who I am. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, and it does come fast, here we are at Palm Sunday. And all of a sudden, you've got the palms in your hands, all glory, laud, and honor, yes. And then suddenly, as soon as that Sunday is over, you're plunged right into Holy Thursday, the Last Supper, and then finally, Good Friday, the ultimate escape of Jesus from any comfort zone that he could have had as the Son of God. That's the prep time. It is often said that one of our problems, because we know this story so much, we know what's coming. Peter, James, and John didn't. They didn't understand it until after the resurrection of Jesus. And that was blown apart every comfort zone they ever thought they could have out of who they thought the Messiah would be. But in the end, all of us are sooner or later called out of where our comfort is, so we think. And as I said at the beginning of the service, the real problem here is what we think Jesus is all about, what God thought Jesus was all about. That revelation to the disciples when that final day came, when they all ran away from Jesus, when he's dragged away to the Roman courts, Pontius Pilate, Caiaphas, the high priest. And then Peter, who said, oh, let me stay here. I'll build a place for you and Moses and Elijah. And he's the first one to run because the comfort zone had been destroyed. So, we're lucky because we're the heirs of all of those people who made a decision to go outside their zone of comfort. All of those saints that marched through the past. All of the folks even currently with us. I can't imagine that Martin Luther King remained in a comfort zone for very long on a daily basis. I don't imagine that Dorothy Day, who started the workers' movement in New York City, feeding the poor, understood that every day was going to be comfortable. I can't imagine that Mother Teresa was comfortable at every given point. Even in her diaries, she used to say, I am uncomfortable in what I am doing. So, what do we want to do? Well, we're a church, aren't we? Like all other churches, we're a gathering of people. And at any given time, I'm looking out at you, and I don't know where you are, but you do. And as we gather together, we are one in like. Your suffering is our suffering, and that is what is called to be Christian in a community. So that as we move out in our outreach programs and what we want to do to feed people, to bring comfort because they're not in their comfort zone anymore. It isn't a question when you feed a person who is starving that you want to teach them the catechism. Feed their belly first so that their physicality can hear and see and reason as to why Christ is the one who we center our lives around. So, here we go. Ash Wednesday, this Wednesday, and the ashes are put upon our forehead and we hear the words, you are dust, to dust you shall return. That's not a comfortable proposition, folks, because nobody is really looking forward to that so grand argument. But as we look at each other and we see the ashes on each other's face, we are reminded that it is the very dust that God blesses and sanctifies and builds into our bodies and says, so as I sent the disciples out in the world, here and now, 2017, St. Luke Lutheran Church, Richmond, Virginia, come Go outside your comfort zone. Just see how it feels. Take in the suffering of other people and understand what binds us together as Christ looks upon us as his beloved children. And indeed, that is what we are. There's a heck of a lot of beloved children out there who want that same message. So maybe all we pray grace for a blessed Lent in what you want to give up, what you want to do extra, and all of that stuff. So that when you reach the ultimate comfort zone of what Easter is all about, and you smell the lilies when you walk into this church and all the hallelujahs we're going to sing, you can look back upon that Lent and say, I guess God was leading me to where I should be, to really understand what it is to live in the comfort zone in the precious blood, resurrected life of Jesus Christ our Lord.